Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am going to give it just a couple of minutes for people to trickle through. But yeah, I hope that you all are enjoying your Tuesday. It is a beautiful, well, gloomy day in Bozeman, Montana, but it is very beautiful in the office because we are having our annual retreat and everyone is just here. So very, very exciting. And the office is a buzzin'. We just got new swag as we were kind of showing everyone in the before this webinar happened. So we are excited to have you all. Gabe, remind me where you're phoning in from.
Based in Brooklyn, New York.
Nice. Are you from Brooklyn originally?
I grew up in New Jersey, so I guess close enough. But
Yeah.
I've been in Brooklyn for the past 5 years now.
Oh, that's cool. Did you go to school over there?
No, I actually moved in with my grandma after graduating, and then ended up staying. She was in the city, so I ended up staying in New York City after that.
Nice. Oh,
Yep.
I love New York. It's a great place to be. Okay. We'll give it one more minute before we kick off. So welcome everybody.
Where did you grow up, Sarah?
I am from Southern California, so it is quite the difference between here and Bozeman, I will say.
Mhm.
I think as Bozeman had that cold snap last week or 2 weeks ago, it was 60 degrees and just absolutely gorgeous in California. So I was very, very jealous and living vicariously through all my friends and family there.
It's not a bad way to do it.
I know. Yep, just staying plugged in via Instagram and wishing for the warm weather. Okay, we are at 11:02 Mountain Time, so we are going to get started. Welcome everybody to today's Solution Spotlight. The topic is unlocking supercharged growth for financial advisors with AI. We have Gabe Rissman, co-founder and president of YourStake. And here at XYPN, it's our mission to help advisors start, run, and grow the REA of their dreams. We offer all the solutions you need to run your business, and YourStake is part of that solution set. So we are grateful to have YourStake here with us today and just grateful for you to join us. So a few housekeeping items. There is going to be a chat and some Q&A left over for after Gabe's presentation. Please do utilize the Q&A portion if you do have any questions. And yeah, that'll be that. And I do see that we have a question already. I assume we will receive a replay of this webinar. Yes, you will receive the recording after this webinar concludes, and along with the slides. So thank you for that. And that was a perfect demonstration of using the Q&A. Now, without further ado, I will turn it over to Gabe and go off mute. Gabe, take it away.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Sarah. And we really love being an XYPN partner. I think we've been an XYPN partner since 2021. I actually can't see the Q&A. So if you want to interrupt me, if there's an important question, or we can cover a host of questions all at once, happy to do that as well. Cool. So I will pull up my slides and kick things off. All right. So let's see. I'll just go into slideshow mode and kick off the presentation. So I'm Gabe Rissman. This is actually a picture of me taken from an XY planning conference where you get those professional headshots. So very appreciative of that as well. And today what I'm going to be talking about is artificial intelligence for financial advisors. And I'll talk about a broad range of applications, but I'm going to very specifically focus on growth for a big part of what I'm talking about, because that's one of the major applications of artificial intelligence. So first I'll talk about financial advisors and AI. Generally, what are opinions and attitudes? How are people thinking about it? I'll then actually cover a bunch of specific solutions and technologies that can fit into the current practice workflow. And then I'm going to cover our solution that we provide that leverages artificial intelligence at YourStake, which we call Advisor Core, which is really focused on portfolio analysis and proposal generation. And then we'll be able to move into Q&A after that. So my own background, I guess the relevant piece here is that I do have a background studying AI from a technical perspective. I studied computational astrophysics in school and did a whole bunch of stuff with machine learning and data science. Most of our team actually are engineers that have data science, machine learning, and AI focuses. So this is something that we're all very passionate about and have been for a while. And we really love being able to bring in applications of artificial intelligence into what we do. I also realized, there we go. And I'm the co-founder of YourStake. So YourStake was founded in 2019, serving over 250 advisory firms. And what we are going to be talking about today, the solution that we provide, that I'll talk about today, we provide values-based alignment and investing solutions, as well as this AI technology called Advisor Core. And Advisor Core, the main thing that it allows you to do is upload client brokerage statements, receive a formatted spreadsheet as a download, and then be able to get an instant analysis with talking points of the prospect's portfolio compared to either a benchmark or one of your portfolios, and then be able to actually have conversations with our AI assistant about your portfolios to be able to do deeper analysis. We're really proud to have been the #1 rated tool for by financial advisor satisfaction according to T3 for 3 years in a row on our values-based alignment solutions. And we're also SOC 2 certified, which is something that I'll cover. It's extremely important to protect client data when you're dealing with AI tools. And that is something that we take very seriously and have that top security certification. So early December 2022 was a really pivotal time in the world. ChatGPT launched, and closely following that, Google's Bard, Bing AI, and a number of other AI large language models were launched. And really, the progress on artificial intelligence had been rapidly advancing until then, but that marked a big stepwise jump in terms of technology capabilities. And a threshold was crossed where there was a lot of now low-hanging fruit that could be tackled and solved using AI technology where it wasn't previously available. My guess, and we could do a show of hands if we needed to, but my guess is that every single person on this call has interacted with a ChatGPT or a Google Bard or one of those competitors. And most people are very familiar with that and use it for things like personal tasks. Hey, can you create a nutrition plan for me? To professional tasks. So actually, I personally still do a lot of coding, and I use ChatGPT as a coding assistant all the time. It's very, very helpful for that. What we're going to focus on today is how AI can specifically be used in the financial advisor use case. If you're not a coder, or even if you are a coder. But first, what I want to start with is how advisors are currently thinking about artificial intelligence. What are your peers doing? What are your peers saying? What are your peers asking and thinking? It's pretty amazing to me that 83% of advisors think AI is going to have a direct impact and actually help them provide better advice and planning within the next 18 months. And 55%, I would put myself among those, think that AI is going to totally transform the future of financial advice within the next 3 years. So people generally seem to see the trend of artificial intelligence being really important, and they're starting to implement it. So this was a survey from F2 Strategy, and it was from August and September 2023. So I'm very confident that these numbers are even higher now, but 51% of firms were currently working on AI projects, either in production or starting to plan that out. And what people were focused on is using AI for predictive analytics. This is really about your client base and using, honestly, not even large language models, but a little bit old-fashioned AI to just get machine learning, better understand data about when a client might churn or figure out the next best action. using AI and machine learning to be able to provide insights about your client base and how you should interact with them. Then there is optical character recognition. OCR is the abbreviation for that. It's a term that many of you may have heard in the past, and what you're able to what you should know about optical character recognition and OCR is what that means is it's taking information from an image or a PDF file and using that to extract the information from that PDF or image or something and turn it into more structured data that you can operate on. Then there's workflow automation. That's trying to take a lot of the technology that already exists and use AI to more intelligently chain actions together to be able to reduce manual entry. And natural language processing and chatbots are very linked together. It's how do you interact with the technology tools that you use using natural language instead of clicking buttons and applying filters and all that. So from an AI perspective, there's a ton of potential and a ton of possibility. I want to, before talking about specific solutions, I want to share what the SEC is thinking about with regards to artificial intelligence. So the SEC actually put out a proposed rule in the middle of last year, specifically around AI automated recommendations. So something like an AI robo-advisor. The SEC is very worried about a chatbot directly interfacing with a client and providing financial advice to the client without any sort of intermediary. So the SEC actually, the way that they put out this rule, it really favors advisors using AI tools to be able to still have human input and advisors using AI to make their practices more efficient and help you out, but not having the artificial intelligence interact and interface directly with the client. That's what the SEC is concerned over as their primary goal. The second thing that they want you to really focus on and pay attention to is protections for client data. You may have seen there were a lot of news stories that came out last year of corporations where employees were having conversations with ChatGPT. They disclosed sensitive corporate data to the chatbot interface, and then that ended up showing up in someone else's session, some random other person. So that's an important consideration that people really want to focus on, and the SEC wants to make sure the AI isn't being trained on client data. And then the last thing is combating hallucinations. So this is another danger, is that if you go to something like a ChatGPT and ask it for information, it can provide really helpful information, but there's no guarantee of accuracy. And it's been shown that it can sometimes make up numbers. So if you're asking it information and you're not verifying the information, there is a lot of danger there. There was a famous story about a lawyer who actually cited or asked ChatGPT about case law around a particular topic, and then cited fake cases in their arguments that ChatGPT just made up and they sounded plausible. So that's another thing that SEC is really focused on. But luckily, there are tools that help to control that and help to harness AI and turn it into something that can be really powerful. The final thing before I go into the specific tools, we think that in 5 years, the trends that have already been happening are going to really accelerate. And what it means to be a financial advisor will be very different from what it's been in the past. So you're not going to be spending time generating content. You're not going to be doing any manual entry into spreadsheets and CRMs, and you won't need to crunch numbers for analysis. Now, that third point is something that technology generally, even without AI, has been creeping forwards and helping advisors turn from stock pickers into people that can run analysis and really have great conversation with clients. AI just makes that even more accelerated, the trend that was already happening. So I'm going to now launch into the second section of this presentation, which is very specific details about what AI can help you do today as a financial advisor. Uh, the 5 main categories where it can be helpful is in content creation and marketing, client support, notes and CRM, document extraction and presentation, and being an analysis assistant. I'm going to show a couple logos in the next couple slides. It's not an endorsement of any of their products. We have no relationships with any of the logos that I'm or any of the companies that I'm sharing. It's just examples of organizations in the field, kind of like Michael Kitces, the Kitces Tech Map, but for AI, and showing just a couple examples of who's doing what to give you a sense. So starting with AI for marketing and content creation, a couple examples would be Snappy Kraken and Jasper. But actually, a lot of advisors are using tools like ChatGPT directly for marketing and content creation. There's plenty of people that say, hey, give me 10 podcast ideas, or I want to write a blog post about Roth conversions. Can you give me a first draft? That's something that we hear from advisors a lot, is in creating newsletters, blog posts, website copy. You can just use ChatGPT directly to really help with that. And then a tool like Jasper just takes that up a notch. It provides additional tools. Our director of marketing, Jack, from our team, uses Jasper all the time to be able to help put material together. And then something like Snappy Kraken already helps advisors with marketing and just allows you to automatically generate a first draft of emails that you might send or other information and content that you might put out. Next is AI for client support. So that covers automatic alerts and client segmentation and customer support chatbots. So when I talked about predictive analytics as one of the big things that advisors are already implementing in their processes, that is something like an automatic alert when you should take a particular action with a client, segmenting clients out based on their activities and their trends. That can be something that's really helpful. And then customer support chatbots, right now, again, like I talked about with the SEC, right now it's not customer support chatbots to be able to interface directly with a client on the advice side, but it's customer support chatbots to do things like schedule meetings, kind of like an administrative assistant. So there are a couple tools like Responsive and Cognicore that are taking those actions. The next is AI for notes and CRM. So I'll start with notes, and Read AI is a company that I recently found out about, which is general purpose. It's not just for financial advisors, but several financial advisors are using this. And what it does is it takes meeting transcripts. It joins your Zoom meeting like a bunch of other tools and sits there in the background, records your meeting, generates a transcript, but it also provides additional helpful analytics. So it will let you know what the action items are from that meeting. It'll give you a summary of the meeting. It'll even, I think this is on their premium tier, it'll even evaluate your performance. So it'll say, hey, this was your engagement score. These were the sentences that you said where you lost the attention of your client. Here were the sentences that you said that generated a really positive reaction and a smile from your client. So that's something that there's a bunch of tools that do that, but Read is just one example. And then Pulse 360 is another example. Again, there are multiple tools that do this, but what they do is they take those notes from something like Read or just your own meeting summary notes. And the goal is to kind of plop that into Pulse 360, and it can integrate with CRMs and automatically populate database fields based on your meeting notes. So that's AI for notes and CRM. Just really improves your time efficiency, so you don't have to generate those notes and do a whole bunch of manual entry and keying things in. And then I'll just take a quick water pause. So the next major use of artificial intelligence is AI for document extraction and presentation. So this is optical character recognition, OCR, that I talked about before, where it's able to read documents and format the information from those documents, put them into helpful analytics modes like a spreadsheet, and then also automatically generate analytics and presentations which you're able to share with your clients directly. So it provides instant personalized analysis and presentation. One example that everyone has heard of, I think, is Holistaplan, which does this for tax planning. So you can upload any tax documents, and then all the information is extracted from Holistaplan, and you're able to then take that information and it generates a report that you can share with your client on what actions they should take. YourStake, which is our company that provides Advisor Core, does this with proposal generation for brokerage statements. So some people have called this Holistaplan, but for brokerage statements. So what it does is it takes a brokerage statement, a picture, a scan, a download, whatever it might be, extracts all the holdings information, cost basis, the ticker, quantity, dollars, and then again formats that in a nice spreadsheet, and then runs immediate instant analytics as well as presentation materials. And then the last piece that we talked about is AI as an analysis assistant. So this can help advisors understand market commentary and derive portfolio insights. Morgan Stanley is one example of a company that released this for their advisors, where it's chat with a market analyst. So Morgan Stanley has an emerging markets analyst, and they write a report about electric batteries or about battery technology in China. And instead of reading this 50-page report about battery technology in China or market commentary or whatever it might be, you can just type a question to the Morgan Stanley AI assistant, and then it's able to provide information to you about, as if you were talking to that market commentary, and it can answer your questions. I think Morningstar has a tool that does this as well. I think it might be in beta, but I'm not quite sure. Then YourStake has a similar take on that, but instead of chat with a market analyst, we have chat with a portfolio. So for example, if you upload a prospect's portfolio and want to run an analysis, what the YourStake tool allows you to do is ask a question like, hey, why is my prospect's portfolio underperforming the S&P 500? Or why is my prospect's portfolio so overexposed to real estate? And then it'll be able to share that information with you, and then you would be able to have talking points and be able to walk your prospect through what's going on and how they can improve their portfolio. Great. So part one was AI in general. Part two was how is AI specifically applicable to financial advisors? And then part three is going to be focused on YourStake specific Advisor Core solution, which is really oriented around those two things, the document extraction and the analysis assistant. And the use case is driving growth. How do you more effectively and efficiently convert prospects into clients? So with growth being a goal, the biggest barrier to entry for both hypergrowth firms and slow growth firms is scalable processes. Now, this is something that hypergrowth firms have solved a little bit better than slow growth firms, but providing tools to automate things can really decrease your turnaround time, which has a huge success rate boost for actually winning a prospect or a client and converting them into a client. So typically what happens is there is a slow, long process. You have your initial contact and you're meeting with a client. And by the way, this process is not something that every advisor follows. A lot of advisors are not putting together proposals, but this is something that when we talk to the fastest growing advisory firms, this is what a scalable process looks like that can really help you grow very fast. So both small and large firms, they kind of follow this repeatable process of you talk to a prospect, you collect their financial information, you run an analysis, and that can be both a financial plan as well as investment analysis. The client makes a decision and then you help to onboard them. So that collecting financial information and internal analysis and proposal prep, that oftentimes takes a week plus for advisors to do. And the slower that process is, the less likely you are to convert that prospect. What YourStake's Advisor Core is set up to do is turn that process from a week-long process and make it minutes. Really speed up your analysis process and the ability to have that conversation with their client faster and put something in front of them that they can really understand and work with. So what I'm going to do next is launch a demo of YourStake's Advisor Core. I'm going to leave this page up for a little bit because we have the ability for you to follow along. So for this webinar and our discount with XY Planning Network, we are offering a 60-day free trial as well as 30% off your Advisor Core perpetually in perpetuity. Just use the code XYPN at checkout. You'll be able to see a place to add a promotion code on there. And if you do want to follow along, Jack has put in the chat a link to the sign up page, which you can use the QR scanner, or you can just do the link in the chat. And also we've placed a link in the chat that has a sample document that you can upload, a sample client statement with client information removed. It's anonymized client information. So if you want to follow along with me and upload a statement, you're actually able to do that. And then you can see how the analysis works in real time, see how the statement uploading works in real time. So I'll leave this on the screen just for another 10 seconds so that you can scan. And then we'll send the slides over after this webinar as well. So you can click to sign up. And then again, check the chat for the link to sign up if you want to do that, as well as for a link to get a sample client statement that you can upload if you want to follow along.
Gabe, while we're waiting for folks to just scan the QR code, we do have a Q&A question.
Okay.
Gabriel asks, I know this is out of scope for this presentation. Do you have any training on how to speak to prospects on their journey to become clients?
I want to make sure I fully understand the question. I think you're talking about AUM clients specifically as the follow-up. I guess you're talking about tips for having conversations with someone in the meeting to be able to help convert them. Is that correct? I think that might be out of scope of the presentation, and what we can do is we can follow up with some helpful resources there. And actually, Sarah, if you know if XYPN has any content, I'm sure Michael Kitsis has written blogs about this too. That's something that we can try to send over to you, Gabriel. Okay, great. So we'll be able to send that over to you afterwards. I think that is a helpful tip and something that we can cover outside of this presentation.
Absolutely. And yeah, Gabriel, we should have some resources within Academy about just the sales process and prospecting. So if you go over there and don't see it, then by all means, reach out to the membership team and they will be able to point you in the right direction.
Excellent. So what I'm going to do next is do a screen share of YourStake Advisor Core and show you, it's actually a pretty quick demo, but I'll show you exactly how you can use it in this context to be able to streamline your process of converting a prospect to a client. So I will share my screen. Great. And can either Sarah, Jack, or Jack confirm that the screen share is working?
Yes, can see.
Excellent. All right. So again, the process that a lot of high growth firms follow to be able to win clients is asking the prospect for their financial information. And what YourStake will really help with is all the brokerage statements to help you do the investment analysis. So what you're able to do is if a client sends you their brokerage statements, you can click to upload a PDF. I'll go to our sample statements and I'll click account statement 1 to upload. Even though just for simplicity, I'm only going to upload one statement right here on this webinar, you're able to upload multiple statements at a time. So if you get 10 account statements from Fidelity and Schwab and TIA, whatever it might be, and try to upload, you can just select multiple statements to upload, and then it will be able to do that. So while we're waiting for this to upload, I'll just show you what that statement looks like. So I'll pull up account statement 1. It's a TD Ameritrade statement, rest in peace. And you're able to see, so what our system will be able to pull out is the investment description, the symbol, the quantity, the market value, this particular statement does not have cost basis, but if cost basis was included on the statement, that is something that our system would pull out and extract as well. The TD statement is something that we are using just because it has anonymized internal test account information, but this process is something that works with brokerage statements for any brokerage. And it could be a scan, it could be, we've seen this work with people where you can even see the shadow of someone taking a picture with their phone, of taking a picture of their statement and then uploading that. So it's able to work with a whole bunch of different document types to be able to run an analysis. And then from here, what you can do is you can automatically, in less than a minute, click to download this information into spreadsheet form. So here we can see again the symbol, the name, the quantity. Cost basis is empty because there's nothing on the statement, but it would be there if there was cost basis on the statement. Market value, expense ratio, the security type, and the account. If this was a consolidated statement, you'd be able to see multiple accounts as different line items and just have the tickers organized by their account. So that kind of is a product all on its own, right? In 45 seconds, we clicked to upload a PDF. We extracted all the information. It was helpful for this TD statement. It can be really, really helpful. A lot of times advisors are coming in, you might have a 100-page brokerage statement. And sometimes you just can't even do the analysis and run that if you have to do the manual entry, but you can upload it. And actually, we're even conservative with this timeline. We've had someone that uploaded a 300-page statement. 8 minutes later, all the information was in a spreadsheet right for you. The next thing that you can do, so yeah, pausing there, upload a statement, get the spreadsheet, can be really helpful right there. The next thing that you can do is run a comparison of the statement or multiple statements against any benchmark. So by default, it's the S&P, but you can create a benchmark, or we can click in here and search for a benchmark that's already been created. Or we can search for one of your portfolios. So for example, my sample values line portfolio, you can just compare to your model. But for now, I'll keep it simple with S&P. And then you can run a comparison. You can also run a comparison from, so this will show you the traditional analytics, but you can also do a risk comparison and a values comparison. And in order to launch those, what you can do is take the risk tolerance questionnaire that we have, or if you already have a risk tolerance questionnaire solution, you can just select a risk level manually. So you can select aggressive, or we can do the risk tolerance questionnaire. I think for now, what I'll do is select an aggressive portfolio, but I'll show you, we have our methodology that's actually linked right from the page of how someone can take the risk tolerance questionnaire. What is your primary financial goal? When it comes to investing, how would you describe yourself? When will you withdraw money from your investments? So it's very simple, only 8 questions, standard questionnaire. And then you can see the full transparency on exactly how we're doing the scoring. So some advisors are deciding that they're using the risk questionnaire, others are just selecting a level manually. And then you can also select optionally risk and also values. So there's obviously many wars going on. Some people might be very focused on seeing if there's military weapons in their portfolio, or maybe they are a planet protector. So this is something that you can run an analysis side by side of this statement versus either the benchmark or your portfolio, again, on risk alignment, values alignment, and other factors. So I'll click to run analytics now. Excellent. So we can see that this portfolio, this account statement it's a $27,000 portfolio. If we click on holdings, we're seeing the same information that was downloaded in that spreadsheet. And we can notice right off the bat, cash has a $16,000 or there's $16,000 in cash out of the $27,000 portfolio. So we shouldn't be surprised that the risk level of this particular statement is very conservative. You can then see the client risk score, which can come directly from, again, the risk tolerance questionnaire that we have, or you can set it manually by just selecting a risk level. And you're able to see that in this case, the S&P 500 is much more aligned with the client's risk score compared to their existing portfolio. And this is something that from a growth perspective, a lot of times the reason why a client might want to work with you from an AUM perspective is that their portfolio right now does not align with their risk level, and showing them what the difference looks like and how you can put them into alignment with what they need can be a really compelling case that you can make. So Gabriel, to your question, these are some big talking points that you can use in that meeting with your prospect to be able to describe how you can help them better align their investments with their financial goals. And a lot of times, instead of using the S&P 500, you'd have existing portfolio and then your proposed portfolio. So you can load up all of your models into YourStake to be able to do that. Next, we have values alignment. Again, this is totally optional. The very simple thing is you can just see that the purple bar is way higher than the blue bar. So the proposed portfolio is, again, or the benchmark is way higher on values alignment compared to the existing portfolio. You can see that military weapons is really dragging you down. If you want more details and information, you can click to launch the full values report, which I might show it for a brief second at the end, but this has full details on exactly why your values alignment looks like this, and you can see all the data on what that looks like. Next, we have equity sector breakdown, asset class breakdown, trailing returns, trailing volatility, fees from fund expenses, market cap breakdown, holdings concentration, and geography breakdown. So for all of these, if you want to know, for example, where the GE exposure is coming from within this portfolio, you can click on it and see that it's held directly. There's $791 held directly. And you can also see that it's a component of these funds within the portfolio to be able to see where that GE exposure is coming from. You can do the same thing for any of the other metrics. So if we want to see, for example, where's the real estate exposure coming from, you can click in and see where that's happening within the funds in the portfolio. The other thing that you should notice is there's an AI generated explanation and talking points that you can use to help highlight what are the major differences that you should focus on. So industrials and real estate are two sectors that have a pretty substantial difference. The other ones are more similar. And the S&P has more information technology exposure. And for any of these tabs, we can actually ask a question. So I mentioned before that a lot of times what people might do is, why is the performance of my portfolio or the existing portfolio lower than the benchmark? So we can ask, why does account statement underperform the S&P? And we'll actually get a response from the artificial intelligence system that will be able to explain things to you. It will, it has weird formatting while it's still typing, and then it formats at the end. But what this is doing is avoiding a lot of the problems that I talked about from a compliance perspective. Because if you were to ask this question to something like a ChatGPT is prone to make up numbers. So it could make things up. It could tell you this US stocks, it might say it's 52% or something like that. We are avoiding that by passing all of the real factual information from our own analytics into the chat. So that 5.24% bonds, that's not something that the AI is coming up with on its own. We give it that information from these tabs, and then what it's able to do is take the real live information from the analytics that's deterministic, and then contextualize that in natural language. So you can have a conversation with it about all this information, and you know that it's getting the right information because it's all deterministic information that we're pulling in from our own analytics and our own database that we're running. The last thing that I'd love to show is the ability to export a presentation. So what we can do is click to generate a presentation. And I have LibreOffice, so the formatting is a little weird, but it gives you a PowerPoint with your logo, any disclosures that you want, and all of the slides, and then methodologies at the end. So we have some advisors that are just using this and sharing with clients directly, but you can also, for example, take this fee chart and you can just copy and paste that fee chart and put it into a different presentation that you have. So that's something that a lot of people are doing. The PowerPoint format gives a lot of flexibility there to be able to take this and see the 20-year savings or the 20-year difference in the portfolio. So that is really the big flow of Advisor Core. Is you have prospect with a statement or a set of statements, you upload them, and you automatically get the holdings in a spreadsheet form. Next, you can run analytics, see talking points, and ask questions on all of these different issue areas. And last, you can generate a PowerPoint presentation with all of the information to be able to share with a client. And one really cool thing too, let's say you don't want to have this conversation focused on returns. You think that's a distraction or whatever it might be. You can actually decide not to include any of these slides in the presentation that gets downloaded. The last thing that I'll say is I always love talking a little bit about our roadmap. So what you see here is a way to be able to take an existing portfolio and compare your prospect statement to a benchmark or to one of your portfolios. Very soon, we're adding in a way for you to be able to find your best fit portfolio automatically based on the client's risk level, or even construct a new portfolio as well to be able to meet their goals. So I'll pause here. I see we have a couple things in the Q&A, and would love to hear your questions about any aspect of Advisor Core or any aspect of the AI landscape in general. I guess the last thing I'll say, we do have that sign up link that maybe I can go back to while I'm doing the Q&A. And I'll also share that pricing for Advisor Core is $100 a month, so $70 a month with the XYPN discount. And it is cancel anytime. It's not an annual commitment or anything like that for Advisor Core. So it looks like there are some questions. I'll pause my screen share while we go through that, and I can always pull it back up if helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Gabe. This was very enlightening. Yeah, to go down the list, the first question that was asked, how do I keep my client's information private while using this?
Great question. So, I guess to be fair, yes, Holistic Plan FP Alpha, anything else would also have the same concern. Yes. So the main thing that you should look at if you're ever going to send client information anywhere for any tool is a SOC 2 certification. So SOC 2 is the highest security standard in the industry and generally, and it ensures that you have all of the client data protections. And this is not specific to AI. It's general to any time you're sharing any client data. So when you're SOC 2 certified, that also means all your vendors are SOC 2 certified. So all of our AI subprocessors are also have that SOC 2 certification as well. And it's something that you have that trust through that certification. The second thing is the one thing that's different about client data from an AI perspective is people sometimes hear news stories of client data being used to train models instead of just, are you storing it and keeping it safe? So in terms of training the models, that is something that any enterprise AI vendor is not doing that with client data when you're using their API. So they can do it if you log into ChatGPT yourself, but if you're using the APIs, then that's something that they have a very strict policy. They're not storing that data and using it for anything important there. The last thing is you can upload a statement. You can redact the information first if you want to. Most of our users that are doing that are not doing it, but you certainly always can do that and still be able to get the holdings extracted and other information extracted from a redacted document too.
Great. Gabe, kind of on that note, I'm going to jump ahead to this most recent Q&A. Can your stake employees see the client data?
Great question. So again, similar to other tools like a Holistic Plan, like an FP Alpha, the way that we do it is on like we have limited permissions on a need to know basis. So if you upload a statement and there needs to be support done on that, then that's something that employees are able to access the data to be able to provide support. But outside of that, people do not have access to be able to see that client data and are not viewing the client data outside of that support context. Again, very similar to any other tool in the space.
Fantastic. Next question. Advisor Core will break up accounts between taxable, tax deferred, and tax exempt, correct?
Yes. So if you I mean, sometimes they are already going to be separated because there are going to be different statements, one for each account. But if you do have a consolidated statement and it has multiple accounts on that statement, then when you upload that statement, it will be able to separate out those accounts and you'll be able to see which holdings are tied to which accounts.
All right, thank you. And then before I throw out this last Q&A, if anybody has any more Q&A, then by all means, drop them in that Q&A section. Otherwise, once we have wrapped up this last question, then we can wrap up this presentation early, or at least wait a couple more minutes and then go about our days. But Gabe, the most recent question in the Q&A, how do I upload my custom models for comparison? Is that by using Create Benchmark?
So you can use Create Benchmark. So you just be able to search for something and then add a percentage if you'd like. We also have a CSV uploader. So we can just go here. I think that opened in a new tab. Yeah, so you can just upload any file and then call it my model. You can also do manual entry from this spot. And then anything that you upload will show up in here. So I didn't upload anything, but if you uploaded my model, that will show up in this spot.
Great. And then another question came in. What is the YourStake business structure? Privately owned, private equity, venture capital?
Sure. So yeah, we are privately owned. We don't have any private equity. We did raise an investment round with angels, and our largest investor was a family office that was very aligned with our mission. We do have some minority VC investors as well. And then it looks like there's another one that came from Penny, which is what are the additional modules that you mentioned about model matching and portfolio design expected to be available? Yes, great question. So I would say by the end of Q1 and early Q2 at the very latest. I'll also add, and I think this is something similar to what someone else asked in the question in this as well. We are also adding additional analytics. So for example, adding in things like stress testing and other information. We're always adding new analytics into our system all the time, and trying to keep things very simple by allowing you to decide which ones you want to include in the presentation. So YourStake, our corporate philosophy, the way that we operate is we think that iteration and response to customer feedback is the most important thing that we can do to best serve you. So we really love getting feedback all the time. I think very similar to XYPN actually, and making improvements to our system. And so any analytics that people are looking for, other features, we really are adding new functionality in a lot. I'll actually add one other thing on our roadmap, is the ability to, so sometimes you'll upload a statement and it will be retirement funds that don't list a ticker symbol. So right now our system is just reading the information and pulling that into a spreadsheet, but we're very close to releasing another functionality that we're calling our magic ticker fill, where it'll be able to take that information and find the closest match publicly traded ticker for those retirement funds to allow you to run the analysis on those retirement funds much easier and much quicker. So there's a lot of things that are on the roadmap that we're really excited about. And always it's being shaped and developed by customer feedback that we hear from you. To be honest, I actually don't know that much about Capitech. Jack, is that something that you'd be able to answer? I don't know if you know about Capitech either.
I do not, but I can do some digging and get you an answer.
Thanks. Oh, and what drives the women empowerment screen? So what I can do is share my screen again. I'll go back to here. We can select Women Empower, run analysis. once more. And I mentioned you can launch our full values report. So within the women empowerment screen, you can see that women on boards, discrimination violations, and diversity score are the 3 metrics that are in there by default. I'll just let you know that all of these groupings are just a default set of groupings, but you're able to customize things to choose whatever metrics you want. So we actually have hundreds of metrics. As you can see, we have 52 health metrics, 52 environment metrics, 32 human rights, 38 equal opportunity, 23 accountability. You're able to pick which metrics you actually want to show to your client, and you can name that whatever you want. This is just a default grouping that we have in here that allows you to get a simple view of women empowerment. And then if you want to see, for example, more information on toxic air hazard or military weapons or clean energy companies or anything like this, you can actually click in to any of these metrics to be able to see more details as well. But the basic thing that this is showing is that the S&P 500 has 9% less toxic air hazard than the account statement, 68% less military weapons exposure, and so on. But yeah, we can select different things if we want to do that as well. It looks like there was a hand raised too.
Yeah, the member's name was Dawn. Dawn, I am going to allow you to talk so you can come off mute and ask any question that you would like.
Hello? Okay, can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay,
Yes.
I don't.
sorry. I'm doing this on my phone and I couldn't figure out how to ask the question, but I actually did, and I put it in the question, so I guess you didn't see my question yet. But anyway, I'll ask. You didn't mention this, but in the future, is there any plans for any capability around rebalancing recommendations?
Great question. I would say that's not on our immediate term roadmap, but it is something that could make sense through partnerships. So for example, well, I would love to hear more about what your goal is, Don, because I actually do think that this can be solved through some integrations that we have. So it would really depend on what existing technologies that you're already using, because my guess is if you're creating portfolios or if we're helping to build the portfolio, it can probably link with an existing rebalancing tool that's already on the market. So this might be something that we take offline if it is more specific to your situation.
Thanks.
Sure.
Great question. We have time for a couple more, but there is another one in the Q&A. Is values included in this XYPN $70 offer?
Great question. So yeah, as part of this special offer right now, the most basic aspect of the values is included. YourStake provides, we have actually a number of different tools that are also available that are pure values tools that are priced a lot higher and provide a lot more comprehensive information on the values. But for this particular offer, the basic values would be included in that offer.
Great. And then the next question, if the automated read function only partially succeeds, is there a way to add holdings?
Excellent question. To answer that very specific question directly, that is on the roadmap. But I think the real answer that is more important is every time you upload a statement, our system runs a whole bevy of internal checks. We make sure, for example, that all of the summary information, so at the top of a brokerage statement, it'll tell you the full value for all the accounts. We're then summing up all of the holdings that are on the account statement and making sure the sum of the market value of all those holdings matches the summary account total. And if it doesn't, like a partial extraction, like you, the anonymous attendee, I'm not sure who asked the question, but the person that asked, if only some of the holdings get extracted correctly, there will be a message that pops up on the screen saying, hey, here's the information that we could extract. It's there for you. It looks like there was some mismatch. And then our team will be able to actually, very similar to Holista Plan, our team will be able to go in and then be able to correct things on your behalf. So we are adding the ability to add in holdings on your own soon, but for now, that's something that our team can take care of for you on the back end. Very, very similar to a Holista plan, which has, I think they're kind of the leader in the document extraction space. It's the same exact process. Yes, everything that I shared today is part of the basic offer. To answer that one question, and then I speak to the data gathering and discovery meeting benefits of YourStake. David, I might be answering your question, but I am not quite sure what you're referring to. I think that the thing that you're asking about is the benefits of being able to take the information from the brokerage statement. What we found is that a lot of times when you pull that information in, and then you're able to run a side-by-side comparison analysis, that is the most effective thing that you can do to help convert a prospect into a client, is run that side-by-side portfolio analysis that includes information on risk alignment and everything else. So hopefully that is what your question is referring to.
Fantastic. Okay, well, there is no other open Q&A, so I am going to just go on with my little end of webinar spiel. Thank you everybody for attending today. It has just been such a delight, and thank you, Gabe, for such a enlightening presentation once again. If any of you are interested in signing up for that 60-day free trial, I'm going to drop the link in the chat so that you can also access that. And then if you want to schedule a call with one of our XYPN success strategists, then the schedule call link is also in the chat as well. Please find a time that works for you. And you'll also see a feedback survey pop up after this webinar. Please, please, please do take a moment and give us a rating and just suggest any topics of interest. We value feedback so greatly. So we'd love to know what your thoughts are. And yeah, this has been so wonderful. Gabe, any last minute trinkets, nuggets of knowledge that you want to share with everybody before we jump?
No, I just want to express thanks again. We really, really love being partners with XY Planning Network. It's always a blast to go to your conference and join you on webinars like this. And thanks so much for being such an accommodating host.
You bet. Well, thank you to everybody. And I hope that you all have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your days. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thank you again, Gabe.
Thanks so much.